Then there was a crisis, and the M was couldn't be built at that moment. So then immediately on ZDF, on the Schweizer Deutsche Fernsehen, on the broadcasting, was there like a program that says, "Look here, Mama, I'm in a plane, and I see now these 3 buildings, and they're it was home." That nice joke of Mannheim to do it, but it's HOE at the moment without the M, which is ho. It's like, what is a ho, Mama? What it was like, that is so fantastic that immediately was taken over, because sarcasm or whatever, but immediately there was a discussion on this. Now the M will be built, don't worry. So it helped actually to establish the direction to make the M.
So I'm here with Winy Maas. We're back now. We were speaking about landscape planning. What can we do with architecture in cities? The importance of teaching. What can be done with teaching for society? Maybe you could tell me now, since we're in Prague 6, not too far from the university here. What is it that brought you to Prague, where we are now?
I think it's already, Prague fascinated me already when I was like 18. First time that I came here, I was 85, I think, in 1985, or 83, where, because of its beauty, because of the fact that there were a lot of modernist buildings made also within that Baroque environment, and so I was here for a longer time to measure buildings and with the professor that was studying this building, to measure them and to publicize them. So from Loos to all the Baba buildings, or the buildings in Olomouc or in Brno. So we were here with a gang of like 10 students, and then with, let's say, a Volkswagen bus to go around to measure it, and always with this guard in the back that was watching us not to do wrong things in the communist times. So there was and we had an incredible good time. So it was like a month, and then we come back again for another month, and and we could go in all these kind of buildings, and we had adventures in. For instance, we couldn't go in Haus Müller at that moment here in Prague, and I'm very happy now. Finally, I can make a book about Haus Müller that comes out soon. But it's like one of us fell in love with the lady that was working as the maid of the house. So at a certain moment he was away. We were, I think, in Obecnidum. We were dining there, and then he was out. Where is Paul? Yeah, he's in love. And but then 2 days later, he popped up again after, and he said, Hey guys, if we, tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, if we're at the Haus Müller, we can go in. How do you manage? I fell in love, and she's opening the door. But we have to be out at 7:30 of the house, because then, because it was like occupied by the secret police, and and then they come in. So it's a beautiful house. I mean, it's one of the. So we measured it quickly. We did all the things, but it was dirty like hell. It was everywhere. There were beds and mattresses, and the mattresses were. Suddenly you can see there was happening. Weird love affairs were happening on those mattresses. So it was a kind of amazing place already for the story. So anyway, that was that period, and that continued out. So we did to these publications. I went into Baba, into Mart Stam's house, which is recently very beautifully restored by the couple that's living in it. An insanely beautiful house, one of his best works. So that is, it was intriguing because it was so closed, honestly, in that moment, and we could, for us, it was also like how to enter this thing, the whole operation, and that it gave access to a kind of treasure of thinking. And of course, it was also a country where that collaborated with the Dutch already a lot in the 30s and in the 20s. So there are many architects have been here, and also a lot of the Czech district diaspora lives in the Netherlands and was teaching at my school. So it was a logic, say, combination, but it fascinated, and that stayed. That fascination. over time, I think the role. I mean, currently it's interesting because the role of Eastern Europe, Middle Europe, you call it here, but it's like is changing. The war in Ukraine made, I think it's. Western Europe was too much concentrated on itself, so the collaboration with Eastern Europe, to say it otherwise, it becomes much more important. I mean, if you geographically, Prague is the center of Europe and not Brussels. It's very asymmetrically, if you look at the map, in a way. So this gives, and you can feel it here. You see that also there is an energy, not by everybody, but to a wish to do it. So in my also wish to work at more places than only in the Netherlands, and you fall in love with certain cities or environments, and then Tirana was one, but also Prague is one, and I like that because I think also then you can establish friendship with people, and maybe you start to know a place better. It enables you, if you make a building that makes more sense, that's not like drop a thing on a place with a very, I would say, low message, I mean, or a copy of a work that you do somewhere else, that I find that not nice, and I find it much more intriguing in a way to build up a relationship with an environment. And Prague is one of those, and a very, very, very special one in my heart. You know, there's and then obtaining the opportunity also to be member of a jury, to meet people, to work, to become professor at that moment in ČVUT for 2 years, and then now teaching at ARCHIP is also a wonderful combination of having somehow a societal role. So that is, and you can feel it here. I mean, I find the architectural scene sometimes very introvert, but on the other hand also there is an energy, there is a young generation that wants to do it. There is quality in compared to other countries on willing to think in an intellectual way and to make things. There are prizes, there are competitions going on more than in many other countries. So there is an emerging scene or culture coming up, and that is maybe already grounded in the 30s and in the 20s of the last century.
And you won the competition to do the Prague airport, which also speaks to not just Prague, but your maybe also love for all Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And the whole.
You know, I think what helped enormously, besides participating in competition, was the studies that I can and could do. And I decided at that moment not to, when I entered ČVUT and I saw all the other studios, then 90% of those studios are about white boxes, white houses.
But you're not known for white boxes?
Not yet. No, that is, but I thought it was good to open the scale in that, so I decided to do like a philosophical component. It's Biotopia, the dream for a kind of biological, completely recyclable and quickly recyclable world. So that's the scale on the world, and secondly the scale of the country. So with the help of other universities, we made then all the universities and architecture institutes,
ARCHIP included,
ARCHIP, to work on a vision for the Czech Republic, because I notated also that the discussion on the country was complicated, if existing. It's all, I mean, liberty is everywhere. That's what neoliberalism is, what you choose for after a communist time. And on the other hand, you hate planning, so because of the communist time, so there's a lot of skepticism for that. While on the other hand, like in countries in the Netherlands, that planning groups in the say on the national level are incredibly helpful to establish new museums, to establish public functions for architecture, to establish a better role for the universities in research, to make research with each other, to advise and collective components. And here it's incredibly difficult to make a new high-speed train link that takes hundreds of years almost to do it, while it would not only save your country, it would be it would give it an address on the map of Europe. Even more, it would link to itself. Here, it's very hard to discuss on agriculture, on what should be done here. Your crops are oriented towards cattle only, and there's almost nothing else. It's so monotonous, which is very dangerous ecologically and economically in a while for the products that the country needs to have. Your forests are not rich. They are one species everywhere. Yeah, two, but you make oaks and you make pines, but that's it. But one disease and hoppakay, everything's gone, as you have seen with the pine tree. So this demands somehow a discussion on a kind of more collective level, and so. But it's a choice of the country to do it or not to do it. But we thought it would be important to create ideas for that and to give that, and that leads now to a publication. But that also gave to a beautiful exhibition where we love the map of the Czech Republic, and where 150 students positioned their little dreams in it, and as an invitation that everybody should be able to dream and cultivate that, and to give it a platform for it. So, yeah, that's a choice when you enter a university, that you choose. In this case, also a very contextual component. I think that's the role of a university in this case, to bring up subjects that are, according to some, are not very well studied. And in this case, then this national planning, or this collaborative planning, that a place needs, in which is so much directed towards individualism and individual freedom. Understandable, but it has all its backsides, and that's what it wants to do. I think that helped also to get more contacts, to know more people. That is how this, you're part of a society a little bit. And how do people look at me? Of course, my Czech language is still very bad, non-existent. It's stupid, of course, but that I cannot handle with all the other countries at the same moment. And on the other hand, I have not a passport, so it's kind of I'm not Czech. But maybe I do hope to make a bridge and to have a kind of freshness that could help to it. And some people like that, some people hate that. Because some people find that like an attack, or what is this kind of foreigner doing here? Xenophobia is also present in the Czech society, and others love it because they see it as a way of politically also to be more part of Europe. So and to have a kind of system of self-criticism, that coming in as a tool to reflect, as a tool for innovation and for reprogramming of what you are doing, and to hook up again with what kind of. So these things help. And then I think the airport, I'm super happy that we won that competition, will show basically now actually that study. That's because it's literally this new terminal, non-Schengen terminal, the parking garage, and maybe an extension again, so 3 buildings in the end, where we make basically very open structure, hopefully in wood. That is that would be good because of the. Then I think it would address a function for your forests more. There's not so many good wood factories in the country, so there might and secondly, by cover them with blankets of solar panels that are integrated in glass, so new products that are painted, so every solar pixel has another color, and that together form the map of the Czech Republic, and and are slightly lit from below, so that when you fly over the country, then you see you see a kind of mini Czech below you, lanterns that way, and from the halls, from the program, you can see in the ceiling, I think the beauty or the non-beauty of your place. So it's kind of welcoming and saying goodbye in these 3 lanterns that we hope to realize soon.
So you described a little bit your as you approach the project, you have to consider such complex context and history, even the forestry, the landscape of the region even becomes part of the building. So do you approach all of the projects in such a way? How do you get started with a project, let's say? Do you start with the sketch or research? How does research come in?
Well, I mean, I'm very happy that I can work in many places. The places also that we somehow like or familiarize with, like I explained before, which is, beside the Czech Republic, I think the relationship with France is very intense. The Paris office, the relationship with Germany is intense. So you have a kind of a general observation of first of the place where you are. In the case of Germany, Germany is so, how can I say that? Partly so boring in architecture. It's only rectangular buildings with rectangular windows, and it's very severe on that. Right. Whenever I'm in Germany, I cannot smile. So our mission in Germany is, let's make architecture where even Germans will create a smile about it. And it seems to work. So that's just, I make it general, but then you start to how to familiarize that, and you have this kind of general perspective. Well, I think the Mannheim project is also again like a longer storyline. So the storyline of making projects become important. Here we were asked to think with not only with Mannheim but the whole country, to think about the buying all the American bases. So after 60 years, 50 years, 60 years, I think. Then it was decided that we buy back it from the Americans, all these airports and casernes, etc. And in many places, in Heidelberg, but also in this kind of Mannheim. So we were asked to think of the transformation of those, as we call conversion of it, by a person, like an incredible person who was leading that operation, who was a very social democrat, and he was a sociologist, and wanted to contribute to the transformation of Germany. And we see here a very beautiful project again that comes up. So somehow those projects where there is an instinct of a somehow social, political transformation, which for the good is then we seemingly are asked over the time. So that was already, again, a filter of showing or looking at it. So being asked for this transformation of one of the casernes initially, actually first of the all casernes, in the which led to the choice that every caserne has another urbanistic and programmatic approach. One is only a forest, the other one becomes only a park, the only with some housing in it, and the other one becomes a new city, the other one, so etc. That was a choice that was done in the first half year with a mayor, and that was beautiful to work on that starting point. That made it possible that for one caserne we could say, okay, this is dedicated to a new park. This park will be about cooling the city. So only cooling. So it is a machine almost, with the water evaporation, how it goes through the old halls in the ruins and then flush through the city. So the other was a task to turn it into, a complete restoration. So to show new housing in a fully restored caserne complex. The biggest one turns into a new city, and that are hundreds of barracks that are there. I mean, how all those barracks, what do you do with that? Are you killing them, or are we going to reuse them? So, but there's one owner, so you can do quite some things. So we did, for every building, we make another interpretation of the former one. Some are new, some are renovations. So we do a collection of interpretations. We make a new axis that cuts like Damien Hirst with a knife through these buildings and make a new, say, compass in this area, which is now under construction. An endless road, the meridian of of Mannheim, and that goes ultimately to the North Pole and to the South Pole. So that's a kind of project in it. We make a new center, and the center is like you need a Lidl, and it has horrible facades always. So we said we put all the debris on top of its roof to make a hill of all the things that you don't do, and the hill gives a view over the city. And then we do 4 high-rises, and there should be a family, was then the decision. And so initially we thought, okay, we do all the characters, like heads of generals that were doing that, like referring to the US, to how the presidents, Mount Rushmore. But that was, no, Mr. Maas, that's too much. So then he came up for we make a word together. So easy tower, you put a small stick to it, and you have the L, and so we made love. No, love, you cannot do that. No. So we ended up with home, H, the O building, the M and the E building. So, and they are under construction. The A is done now by Mr. Speer, the son of the former Rijksarchitect, who was an awful person, honestly. And he was like, but he made it. Okay, he didn't want to. He said, no, I'm not going to work on this. He's a man, you have to collaborate. No, I hate this pamphletic architecture. I want to be only neutral. Yes, we know, but you are not now in Mannheim, and you're not in the rest of the Germany. But neutrality is the key. And then he accepted, and he made it. Not so good, but okay. So now the O is that becomes a podium with a stair bringing into the O. The H is there with a beam of houses that have a good view and a platform on the roof. Yeah, and then there was a crisis, and the M couldn't be built at that moment. So then immediately on ZDF, on the Schweizer Deutsche Fernsehen, on the broadcasting, was there like a program that says, look here, Mama, I'm in a plane, and I see now these 3 buildings, and it was home. That nice joke of Mannheim to do it, but it's HOE at the moment without the M, which is ho. Which is like, what is a ho, Mama? It was like, that is so fantastic that immediately was taken over, because sarcasm or whatever, but immediately there was a discussion on this. Now the M will be built, don't worry. So it helped actually to establish the direction to make the M. So that was a level in urbanism that didn't exist in Germany, and that was then allowed. So it's kind of building up a storyline with the components that are local, that are characteristic, enlarging characteristics is basically in our work, investigating that, seeing how it could innovate, how to steer it away, what could be a next step is coming into it, and trying to do that as visible as possible to allow for like talking through architecture with the country or with the place.
It's beautifully put, and also what you do, what I think is relevant for young people who want to be architects, for young architects, just to think that even our idea about what is architecture or what is city, all those things are up in the air. They're questions. I mean, you can have a vision, a dream, and really push the limits of what we think the things are. So
you're right, because there's a huge establishment what architecture should be and can be, and it should be a little bit the same. Otherwise, it's
familiar and comfortable.
But it doesn't make. I mean, questions are very difficult to pose, and also very difficult to build questions, question marks, because it can be very selfish in certain cases. It can, with closed eyes, almost things can happen, and we have to train ourselves to ask the questions and try to sometimes make and build escapes from notions that are hidden behind this status quo that is so confirmed by our education and by the audience in a way, and that is and you can I think that somehow globalism has led to the quest for innovation and to the ecological agenda, the climatic agenda, the economic agenda comes in. But on the other hand, it also leads to the quest of what a place should do and the specialization of a place. And I find both of them interesting, because I love the biodiversity of cities. to say it, like the fact that cities are different, that they have a different economy, a different social appearance, a different cultural, and different, say, character. Anyway, that because that helps to be curious. I want to see how a city like Prague does it, or how Paris does it, and they don't do the same. They have bigger, again, gender that we share. Fair enough. We all want to have good internet. We will all want to have good traffic structure. We all want to have good, say, oxygen provision to parks and nature. And so that has general, but you can translate that in different ways. That's what. So this fusion is what I think we have to train to discuss it basically and to test on this.
And we have to be a little bit then willing to break out from predefined limits, you know, like in designing something, or that there should be some already set image, what's correct or what should be, or
but you can
even what context is.
Yeah. Also, I think in the case of in Prague there is this terrain that's called Bubny, where the future central station will be placed. It's now under construction, and I remember the first competition we did in Prague, in Czech Republic, was there, and it was like an empty place between beautiful other neighborhoods next around it. So what we said, we radicalized at that moment, and that's a word which I think is kind of remains intriguing because it goes to the edge, or it goes hopefully a little bit over the edge. The block system, the beauty of the block system in Žižkov or in Hološovice, etc., to extend that radically, but also add shortcuts through it. So we made this tapestry of blocks and cut lines through it. So you get weird blocks to that lead to all the kind of to a relationship between the two edges of the river that goes to the expo area, that goes directly to the central station and through it. And that radicalization, that it was not chosen that moment, but there's already a way of combining an update of the blocks with the classical block system, but with more access by the cuts through. So finally, we made it then possible in Mannheim, I could say. But it was born here.
Yeah, I saw this proposal
as an example of how. So you can say because what are innovations? That's what you basically ask. If you want, there's a desire for innovations and how to go out of the constraints, because certain innovations cannot be done in the current typology of buildings. So we have to research that. I mean, sometimes it's within the character or chosen character of a place. I'm fine with the blocks here, nothing against it, but I only when every small piece should be part of that, because what you don't do in Prague, you have so many leftover places in between that it misses the continuity a lot in many places. Go to Radsanska, you don't know where to go, or go to the expo area.
Yeah, in some way, the taking the basic context and then disrupting it a little bit could in fact tie it more together.
Exactly. Add more functions to it, add more possibilities to it. That's what then is the innovative part. And so it depends what kind of innovation we have to strive for. I mean now researching Biotopia, that's a general thing to how to build production. I mean, for the coming 2 billion of people that are coming, the coming 10, 20 years in a planet, to make buildings for them that can be recycled completely, that can adapt. We don't know. We have to unify, say, the biological world more into the architecture, in order to address this recyclability, to address the carbon agenda, to address the possibilities for growing plants in and on top of it, to address animals that should live with us, etc. So that is a very generic research. How it then is transformed on every.
You're bringing the future into today.
Yeah. Hopefully, because you have to. It's so slow building. I mean, one building takes average-wise in most of the places 7 years from scratch to realization. So we are slow. We are a slow profession. So we have to, and we have to speed up in certain cases. So how to organize that? many different buildings and try in every building to do something innovative or with that spirit of what happens after 7 years.
And so what's next for you on the horizon in Prague, or?
Well, there is. I have a wish at the moment to bring out quite some of the studies, the books that are coming out with the Y Factory as a base, but with the foundation that's behind it, with the universities. So there are a series of books coming up soon. From a book on the integration of, say, biological life in biodiversity, a book of animals. Another book, Biotopia, that I just painted, about the relationship with products, our stuff. So how can we naturalize that better? So making other kind of concrete or inertia, etc. in it. We're working on the book of ČVUT, coming out soon, hopefully with an exhibition in Prague Castle, to discuss basically the vision of Czech Republic in the nearby future. The book on House Müller, how to make it accessible, will be there. So my dream from when I was living in '83, now finally there, with House. To paint you some elements. I tried to do it also in another special book, this KM4. 20 years ago we made KM3, which was about the what can you do on the capacity of the planet, the cubic kilometers that we could do. Now I would like to do KM4, which is about time. So what can you do with time? Can you accelerate, or how fast can we do that? So that's a parallel book where research and the build work or the non-build work are combined. So that's one part of the operation. I think for market-wise, the world is of course an insane world at this moment, and how and where to work is highly under discussion. Markets come and go. There are crises in France, in Germany, and also in the Netherlands. They slightly come up. So what to address and how to turn that into again in new economies that are needed, and what kind of buildings are needed for that operation. The Middle Europe, Prague, etc., and Central Europe and Eastern Europe become more important for us. Also to engage with that transformation, how to be part of Europe, how to innovate some of the things that are a bit withdrawn or not that well established. As an outsider, depends on the country. That's part of that. How to do with the deserts? What can we do in the Middle East, which is a kind of geopolitical nightmare, and what to do with that? So that's what we engage ourselves within. We try to make environments that cool instead of that heat up. By the Grand Canal in Dubai, or by buildings that are self-shadowing as a prototype on many places. How to engage with China? We do it already a long time, which is so much transforming at this moment. It's not growing that quick anymore, and highly under discussion. What can we then? What kind of outstandingness should we show in such a kind of transformative environment? And what do we do with the periphery of China, say Taiwan or Vietnam, or we do a lot in Korea. It is a very political environment. Became city architect in Busan, so the second city to do that. So these are things that are coming up, but that means that the office needs to be also very transformative because of this changing market. You can satellite that can also reduce its amount of work because of changing economies, like you can see in France, which become more now state-driven economy than a market-driven economy. So that means that we are now working more for state interventions in France than before. We work on all the water installations and all the cleaning water devices. We do the recycling machines for Monaco, which is like a tower of crushing concrete, heating up plastics, etc., in the middle of Monaco, because France said, clean up your own stuff. You are not allowed to bring it anymore in France. You have to do it in Monaco, which is a beautiful operation. So, but it's completely state-driven, and that is that is it. From making houses everywhere in France, now suddenly you make these installations, and you give that a new meaning. So, just to indicate how this perpetuum mobile of the world is doing, and how to a little bit contribute to that. I always advise people go where the wind is blowing. That's a philosophical position, because if things are moving, things are needed, and how can you contribute to that? I mean, I don't say that you should be a vulgar and flying over the planet and there is a disaster with fire in LA now, oh, I have to build houses there. That is terrible, that's not what I say. But where discussion is going on.
Yeah, and where the needs are sprouting out.
Yeah, sprouting out is a good word, or where it appears more there I think let's connect ourselves to that.
I don't know where you get all this energy from all the time, but I know you have to go rush and catch even another plane right now.
Yeah.
So I thank you for this time talking with you.
I think it was thank you for the questions. On the background, I think the mayor of Prague was sitting here next door, so maybe we can hear him in the podcast also. In the back layer, that will be then funny kind of context to leave the audience with. Thanks for the story, for the thinking with each other. Your questions also help to formulate answers, and it's also a thinking process.
Thanks.